Aside from dogs and cats, no other animal on the planet is expected to eat a fully ultra-processed diet. Even we are told to reduce our consumption of processed foods. So why is it such a different story for our furry family members?
If you look at, just statistically speaking, what's happened to our pets, in the last 50 to 60 years since the development of processed food, it's not a pretty picture.
One of the most important things is we need to bring the nutrients back to our pets' diet, because that has been taken out with processed food.
Just about every ailment that we see in our pets these days is related to processed food.
The foundation was there. They're being given real food for most of their life, and that's what their body is designed to use. The body is not designed to use processed kibble. That's why they get so sick.
This question is exactly what we set out to answer. Why are our pets expected to thrive on the same diets that we are supposed to avoid? What effects have the processed food revolution had on their overall health? Is food a factor in the rise of skin, allergy, behavioral, and digestive problems? And what is the best diet for our dogs and cats? Welcome to Raw You from Steve's Real Food. I'm Brad Clinthorne, and I'll be your host on this journey. We created this course to help shine some light on a very confusing topic. By focusing on dogs and cats' physiology, digestion, habits in the wild, and some of the latest research, we're able to get a clear picture of what our furry friends should be eating. We're here to pull back the curtain and show you the world behind all the smoke and mirrors, where feeding your pet becomes as simple as feeding any other animal in the natural world. More importantly, we created this course to help improve the world's dialogue about food and health, and to help our dogs and cats live the lives that they deserve. By the time you finish this course, you'll have a better understanding of your dog or cat from nose to tail, as well as answers to each of our questions and a lot more. When we're done, you will feel confident in your choices and hungry to learn more. This is the beginning of something amazing, and I am so glad that you've joined us. Fresh, real food unlocks the full health potential of your dog or cat. It is the minimum that they need in order for their body to use all of its amazing tools. So when we talk about the parts of your pet's life that can be improved with fresh, raw foods, we're really talking about returning them to the level of health that every dog and cat should enjoy. This is their body's base level, and many pets aren't even coming close.
You are what you eat. That goes for us as well as our pets. And processing radically alters the food that nature has produced.
Processed food, primarily, I see a lot of joint issues, inflammation, cancer, skin disease states, to the point where they're considering euthanasia, because the animal's life is so, the quality of life is so poor and there's so much suffering.
Pets who are fed too much processed food end up with a lot of issues that we now view as normal, but they don't have to be. Allergies, digestive issues, excessive shedding, dental disease, anxiety or behavioral issues, food sensitivities, skin and coat issues, arthritis. All of these can be related to an overly processed diet, and they are all way too common. Throughout Raw You, we'll share some of the latest research with you that shows you what happens to these conditions when you replace the processed food with fresh, real foods. In fact, in a study by the University of Helsinki, over 9 out of 10 dogs with digestive or skin problems saw relief after switching to raw foods. In another study, this time on cancer in Scottish Terriers, dogs saw up to a 90% reduction in certain cancers by replacing some of their processed food with fresh, real food. Dogs have nearly the highest cancer rate of any mammal on the planet. Feeding real food may present an opportunity to change that.
We have a species of the dog today that is being fed so horrifically with food that is so wrong, and it has resulted in masses of degenerative disease. As a result, our dog is the most medicated dog or most medicated species on earth, more so even than humans. It's the most disease prone and it's the most cancer prone animal on earth today. And this is absolutely tragic for a precious family member. A family member we all care about and growing to love more and more, and we watch them go downhill because of this food. So they're over-medicated, they end up with cancer and all sorts of degenerative disease. It's absolute tragedy. And my whole life has been dedicated to trying to educate people that this doesn't have to be, that we can stop them being over-medicated. We can stop this cancer simply by switching their diets to raw, whole food based on evolutionary principles.
The foundation of health is the gut, right? So food is getting directly put into our dog's guts. And so, they have, depending on the food you're feeding, you're either fueling disease or you're, giving them life and vitality and longevity.
Just about every ailment that we see in our pets these days is related to processed food. It's related to feeding dead food, synthetic chemical, vitamin, mineral mixes, not providing what the body needs. We're not providing the good building blocks. And if we would change away from synthetic dead food, we could heal probably 95% of what we see in our office. Diet plays the most important role in my treatment plan. The very first thing I do is discuss what the pet has been fed and what we are going to change the pet to in order to accomplish healing. I don't want to just put Band-Aids on symptoms. I want to solve the problem from the inside out, and that always starts with diet.
I want to make a point here that's really important. A lot of times we talk about disease states linked to overly processed diets, but we forget about the other things, such as the mental state. I see most often with highly processed diets and our animal friends, a lot of depression, a lot of lack of enjoyment in their own bodies, let alone their own lives.
Pets who get fresh foods have smaller poop, better skin and coat, better digestion, cleaner teeth, less allergies, and a whole lot more. But it's more than preventing disease. Fresh, real foods allow your pet to be their best, to feel their best every day, full of energy and happiness.
Our job with food, with, herbs, with all of those things is not to heal, right? That's not the job of what that does. What these foods can do, what foods, herbs, all of those wonderful things can do when they're married properly, when the formula is right and the sourcing is great and all of those good things. The goal, the intention is to feed homeostasis, to feed balance, to infuse that into the bowl and into every ounce of their being. And when they have balance and harmony, there's no end to the quality of life that they can live.
Taking your pet off of processed food and replacing it with real foods will improve their life and their overall health. Food choices affect every aspect of their life, including how alive they feel and how much life they get to enjoy. Coming up, we'll dive deeper into each of these issues. It's important to us to share the information with you so you can see the power of real, fresh foods. But first, in order to fully understand our pets and their needs, it's important to learn their history. What paths led them to our homes? And how did we end up feeding them a diet so far from where they started?